Welcome to Integrity Linguistics Institute.
Yeah, so in totality, sandwich is basically one thing, right? So we can say, I want a sandwich. I will make a sandwich for you. But what exactly is a sandwich? So sandwich requires bread, it requires butter, or those who want, they can require. Again, I'm not a very fair, experienced chef. So the way I understand, there is bread there, there is butter or cheese there, then there will be tomatoes, right? Then what will be there? Tomato will be there. So do you use potatoes in sandwich? Okay, so potatoes will be there. Cucumber will be there, right? Maybe lettuce will be there, right? So those who like, so what is this? Mayonnaise. So nowadays mayonnaise is very important, right? So mayonnaise will be there. Carrots will be there, right? And so those, okay, so like this. Okay, so those who want salt will be there, pepper will be there. Okay, so all these things. Now you see, this is what sandwich means. Okay, so a sandwich. So when we talk about sandwich, we say, yeah, one sandwich, but there are several components in the sandwich, right? Okay, so all these things. Okay, so there should be two pieces of bread. Okay, there should be two pieces of bread. There should be cheese. There should be tomatoes, potatoes, cucumber, lettuce, mayonnaise, carrot, salt, and pepper. Now, what is it? Now, let's imagine that you have all these things. Imagine that you have all these things, but you don't have bread. Then can we say that is a sandwich? No, right? Then that is not a sandwich. So similarly, when we are talking about, time management. Okay, so when we're talking about time management over here, time management is not one single thing. Okay, so time management is exactly, I would like to say, is almost like a sandwich because it consists of several other components over here. Right. So first and foremost, it is basically your mindset. Okay, that is, see, for example, you are doing reading part C after you finish listening part A, listening part B, listening part C, and then you're doing reading part A, reading part B. So you should be in the right mindset. That is, you should not be exhausted. You should not be fed up. Okay, you should not be bored with the question paper, right? And you must, not be nervous. You must not be anxious, and you must not be distracted. So first and foremost, you need to have the right mindset. Okay, the right mindset is basically, I would say it is about these factors. That is having the right focus, it is right having the right clarity, and it is also having the right calmness. Okay, okay, so all these things. So this is what constitutes your mindset over here. Then what else do you need? You must have your ability to comprehend the question. Okay, comprehension of the question stem. Right. So the question is asking you one particular thing, and you must be able to, first and foremost, you must be able to understand the question. You must be able to identify the question stem, right? Then you must be able to understand the focal points of the answer options, right? Then you must have retention ability. That is, you must be able to register all this information to your mind. Okay, that is what we call as retention. Okay, then you must have the elimination strategy, right? You must have perfected your elimination strategy. You must have very good vocabulary skills. Okay, because the OET, they are using a lot of, different highly advanced vocabulary. You must be able to understand what that vocabulary, so good vocabulary range is required, right? Then what else is required? Like understanding the gist of the question. Okay, so every question, every paragraph will have one particular message. So you must be able to understand what that key message is. That is what we call as gist. So you must be able to understand the gist, and you must be able to trust your intuitions. Okay, that is what we call as intuitive trust skill, because everything is medical related, right? So since everything is medical related, you can very much easily relate to the medical content over there. That is, your intuition will become activated, and just by reading it one single time, you'll be able to say, okay, this is what I'm understanding. Okay, this is probably what the meaning is. Now see, like this there are so many things over here. Okay, so these are all the foundations, and you have to be very patient, developing one after one after one after one after one, like this, one by one you have to develop. Okay, so these are the ingredients over here. So once you have all the ingredients together, once you have perfected all the ingredients, then what you need to do, then you must have the ability to implement all these things together. So then only you can say you have time management. So if you don't, so if you are a student who's struggling with vocabulary, if you are a student who's struggling with understanding the gist of the message, if you're a student who's struggling with understanding the stem of the question, then obviously you are going to struggle in time management. It is as simple as that. You can have all the other qualities, but if one or two like the foundations, if you don't have, then that student is definitely going to struggle in time management. Now, there are other trainers who say there are certain tricks in OET. Okay, so I'm not those kind of a trainer. There are no tricks over here. Okay, there is only pure hard work. It is just pure hard work and it is pure skill at work. Okay, there are no tricks. There are no magic tricks over here. You really have to invest your time, your effort, and your commitment to the genuine, authentic question papers of OET. You have to practice with the exam scenarios. With the right exam mindset, you have to prepare, and you have to like take every single word, every single question very seriously. You have to dive in very deep. You have to understand what your strengths are. You have to understand what your weaknesses are. It is pure hard work. Okay, you really should be willing to work extremely hard. There are no tricks over here. There are only tips. So I can give you certain tips and guidance I can give you. That is definitely there. Certain tips I can give you, certain guidance I can give you, but ultimately it is skill at work. All right. So that is why I'm telling there are no shortcuts to success in OET. You really have to be very patient with yourself. And once you are like very comfortable, okay, so that is why OET has very limited question papers. Just so other exams, they have hundreds and thousands of question papers, but OET, they have very limited question papers only. So they tell practice these question papers thoroughly, okay, and then you book the exam. So that is why I spent 2 years developing the app. So do you have anyone else who's giving you the content of the app, the OET exam mastery app with photos, videos, animations, explaining every tiny thing? No, right? I spent 2 years of my life developing that app. Okay, that is to motivate my students to understand how complex the OET is and how much depth is required. Right. And that is the reason why I take my sessions in very detailed way. Okay, that is every tiny thing I go detail. It is just not only to show my skill, it is basically to inspire my students like this is the way OET needs to be dealt with. Right. So understand that those who are struggling with time management, it is because it is an elite level skill. Okay, it is an elite level skill and it requires you to build the foundations. You really have to be very honest with yourself and you really need to understand what your strengths are, understand what your weaknesses are, and you have to perfect and refine your strengths and you have to overcome your weaknesses. So it may take time. It may take 2 weeks. It may make 3 weeks. It may take more than 7 weeks or 8 weeks also. But once a foundation is set, then I guarantee you the time management becomes automatic. Okay, so now so just imagine that you have all these ingredients. So if you have all these ingredients, then it is very simple, right? Then all you have to do is just assemble it in the right order and you have that sandwich. So similarly, you build the foundations first, right? Be very patient with yourselves, perfect these foundations. And then one fine day, even without you noticing it, you will know that you have time management, right? So that being said, so I hope my message is very clear to each and every one of you.
Welcome to Integrity Linguistics Institute.